Good afternoon. Now I'm going to give you the experience how my father ended up not taking 17 pills a day, but end up with 2 pills a day. After 1977, since my father was taking 17 pills a day, I'm looking for an answer. And I tell you, my wife, who is a nurse, and she has to do her continuing education. So she got a letter from Dr. Marriott, and there is a seminar in Clearwater, Florida. So it was 1979, me and my wife and my 3 children, we went to attend the meeting in Clearwater, Florida. That was a 3 days meeting, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So when we reached there, my wife says, you go to the meeting because the meeting is on electrocardiogram. When I went to the meeting, I met all these beautiful nurses and Dr. Sodi Polaris, who was from Mexico City, who has written a book on ischemic heart disease and polarizing treatment. And he was giving a lecture on electrocardiogram. It was amazing. The electrocardiogram was presented on the board, and Dr. Sodi Polaris is making a diagnosis. And the first patient they presented, and that patient was 62 years old, who had an anterior myocardial infarction. So Dr. Sodi sees the electrocardiogram, and he says there is a patient is about 60, 65 years of age and has an anterior myocardial infarction. And then subsequent electrocardiogram was done, and he says there is a ventricular rupture and the patient died. I was surprised how the heck he's making a diagnosis. The second patient was presented to him, a 4-year-old child with congenital abnormalities. And he is showing on the electrocardiogram that the child is about 4 to 5 years of age and has a fallot tetralogy. That means there's a defect between the anterior ventricle, between the ventricles, and the blood can go and the child can be anemic. A child could be cyanosis. And the child, after that, child get the operation done and the fallot tetralogy disappeared. And that electrocardiogram was also there. So now, after the lecture, I went to Dr. Sodi Polaris. I said, Dr. Sodi Polaris, I want you to go with me to visit Zephyr Hill so I can introduce you to my father who's taking 17 pills a day. He says, no, I cannot go today because I'm leaving tomorrow morning to Mexico City. Why don't you buy my book, Ischemic Heart Disease and Polarizing Treatment? I say, okay. I bought the book and I start reading. I read the first chapter, and there it's writing about what you call the ventricular function and how the ventricle get what we call ischemia because of too much sodium at a cellular level. Anyhow, I read a couple chapters, it makes some sense, but in a week I got a letter that there's a seminar in Mexico City. So it was January of 1980, and I told my wife, let's go to seminar. We went to Mexico City, and it was a 1-week seminar. And Dr. Sodi Polaris presented patients who had heart attack 25 years ago, and they are climbing mountains. And there were patients, what you call people with a congenital defect in their heart, and these women had babies. And he must have presented about 6 patients who literally had myocardial infarction 25 years ago, and he has treated them with a polarizing therapy that is low sodium and high potassium diet. And that's how he became an electrophysiologist. And when I saw these patients, I was surprised. So I told Dr. Sodi Polaris, what should I do with my father? He guided me. I come back to Zephyr Hill, Florida. I put my father on 350 milligrams of sodium a day and tell him to start walking. And in 1 month, he was off all his pills except equimedine 5 milligrams one day, 7.5 milligrams the next day, and a digitalis 0.125 daily. And my father was picking up my youngest daughter, Monica. He was so happy, and I was so happy. Now, my life is totally changed. I start looking. I said, wait a minute. I need to change this, stop doing surgery, and start doing this polarizing therapy. And from there onward, I started a polarizing therapy in my office in Zephyrhills, Florida. Later on, I opened another office in Newport Richey, Florida, and there also I started doing polarizing therapy. At the same time, there was a lot of people were talking about chelation therapy, and I also started doing chelation therapy. And also, I had a radio show and a TV show. Every Monday, I used to see about 20 to 25 new people a day, 20 to 25 new people in my office. And I put them on a polarizing therapy. Along with that, I gave them a chelation therapy. I was teaching them, the people in the office at that time, nutritional therapy. We give 4 weeks program and teaching them about nutrition. That means about cellular nutrition, carbohydrate, fat, protein, Krebs cycle, and so on, so they can understand what kind of food they have to eat and why they have to feed food. We talk to them about exercise, how to take the pulse, so they can learn when they're walking how to take their pulse, whether the pulse is rising up or not rising enough so that they're putting a pressure on their heart. Anyhow, I basically prescribe them aerobic therapy, that is walking in the presence of oxygen. Anyhow, I must have treated hundreds of patients with cardiac problems. Anyhow, that at that time, now people coming with a congestive heart failure, high blood pressure, people who were told that they need a bypass surgery, and I start changing them the lifestyle. In 90 days, their medications completely disappear, or maybe end up with 1 or 2 medications, and they don't have to do a bypass surgery. And you're talking about 1980s. It was amazing. Even I called Dr. Vijay, who was doing a bypass surgery, and he was telling me, please send me the patients who need bypass surgery, which I used to send before my father was operated when he had an aortic valve replacement. Now, since I learned this thing, I stopped sending patients for bypass surgery. Anyhow, today I am here in Livana, Cyber Heights, and I am talking about Medicare. And I've just finished the book called The Cancer Cure at Home Naturally. I request all of you to buy this book. Go to our website, go to Amazon Kindle and get the book. And I request you to please read the chapter, Polarizing Therapy, and you follow it for 90 days. And I request you that you should work with your family doctor, medical doctor, or any health practitioner so you can get the best result. Also, we have made an app. Please go to our website and get the app, Jesus Nanak, and you will love it. Because my object is this time is to educate you to live happy and healthy at no charge, because the body has a self-induced healing. Again, I request you to work with your health practitioner, and I wish you all a happy day, healthy day. God bless. Namaste. Amen.